There we go. Now we're recording. Now it's official. Now we're legit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop over here and share my screen with all of you. We have some images and slides. So let me get that going for us. Oops, that is not where we started. Hold on. Sorry, guys. We're going to start here.
Just a quick question. How many of you have signed up for the trip and how many of you are considering the trip?
You just show raise a hand if you've signed up.
Yeah, raise a hand if you sign up. Yeah. Okay. I thought most everybody had signed up. I recognize the names.
That's great. And we will have some folks that are going to be viewing our session afterwards tonight on the recording. We have some folks that are considering the trip. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for signing up and joining us. And then thank you for everyone that's thinking about joining us too. So that's wonderful. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up here for you guys. Welcome to Handmade Morocco and all things Morocco. We're pretty thrilled to be able to have this time with you. Susan and I are going to be both sharing in the conversation. So if you guys see here, I'll apologize here. Let me escape one more time. So I want to make sure I can see your comments as well. So what I might do, you guys can all see my screen. Am I correct? Okay, cool. So I think I'm just going to start here so that since I'm manning the meeting as well, we can got a couple more folks joining us. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're just getting started. And Miss Laura has a question. Hi, Laura, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Actually, I don't have a question. I just raised my hand and I think I was still stuck up there. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No problem.
I'm going on the trip. I really am.
Excellent.
Thank you. I got you. Okay. Thanks for your patience with me. And thank you everyone that just joined us too. We literally just got started. So I'm not going to go full screen here so I can see all of you and see if you guys have any questions as we go along. I don't want to miss anybody. All right, so we're going to start off with talking about traveling to Marrakech. Have any of you traveled to Morocco before? You could raise your hand. Anybody? First trip for most everybody? Awesome. Okay. So it's actually, I was just going to share that I've recently traveled to India. Last week I traveled to Mexico, and the whole process was pretty painless. There's a few extra steps that we have to take, obviously post-pandemic, but it was pretty smooth. And I think maybe some of you might be traveling other places too and running into similar experiences. So what we've done is we've tried to prepave the way for any questions you might have, or just share the information that we have to date on how everything will flow and how it is to travel to Morocco and things to consider. So Susan, please hop in at any point if you want to.
I will. Yeah.
Take over here and talk about traveling to Marrakech.
Okay. Do you want to pull up the PowerPoint?
Oh, screen sharing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I've got it right here. Okay, so you can see everything now?
Yeah, but go ahead and put it on the play. Hit play on the right-hand corner.
I'm
on the PowerPoint.
I think I'm keeping everybody here so that I can handle the administration, because we still have people popping in.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure how to do full screen without losing everybody.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'm sorry, everyone's having to see some of the stuff on my screen. I can try it. Let me try. See what I get. I get you up here. Okay. And let me see. All right.
And if you put
playing around here. Oh, thank you guys for your patience. Just want to make sure I can see everyone. Well, Susan, let's try it like this and see how it goes. And then if you've got everyone in gallery view, if you see someone that's raised their hand, let me know and I will find them.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Just to double check each other. All right, here we go.
So when we're traveling to Marrakech, what we're recommending right now is that you're going to go through as few countries as possible. We have people from all over the world, and so I can't offer one clear path, but if you're in the US, I know that you can catch Royal Air Morocco out of either New York City, Washington, DC, or Miami, and get a direct flight to Casablanca. And then you can catch a direct, a small hop to Marrakech. The reason we're suggesting that is that several people in their route to PEACOCK pavilions, and not in our groups, but in other retreats that they've hosted there, have gotten held up in a third country. So maybe they've gotten held up in, you know, Portugal or something, because they didn't have all of the paper requirements that are that they're currently requiring to go all the way through. So each country has its own set of regulations on entering the country. If you travel the least amount of countries, you have the fewest amount of steps you have to take to get through your COVID protocols. So it might be different in Portugal than it is in Marrakech, or it might be different in Australia or whatever. So we're going to give you the most information that we have about what is being requested, you know, at the time. And, you know, if you're going through different countries, you're going to have to kind of figure out what you need there. So,
Okay.
kind of.
And if anybody's as confused as I am right now,
Okay.
sorry guys.
There you go.
We're just keeping you on your toes. Can you all
Yeah.
still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'm going to go back to make sure I have everybody here. All right. All right. And I will hit play again so it's full screen. Okay, gotcha.
There we go.
Okay.
All
we're
right.
ready.
So currently, oh,
I'm sorry, Susan.
that's okay.
All right.
Currently, to enter Morocco, you're going to need a negative PCR test 48 hours prior to boarding the plane. You're going to need a current passport and a vaccine card. Now, depending on what country you're coming from is what Morocco will take. So if Australia requires different requirements, then they will take whatever Australia is requiring as far as a vaccine, passport, ID card. In the United States, it's just a little white card. And if you have 2 vaccinations, that's all you need. So they're using your home country as the rule. Then if you see on the left side of the screen, this is a Moroccan health form. Right now they're requiring it. It's in English, French, Arabic, so it's not hard to read. It's just a few questions. You have to fill it out and then upload it. It's not really that detailed, but that's what they're currently requiring. I'd also always bring a copy with me. Always make sure that you have copies of your PCR test, your health forms, anything when you're traveling with you, even if you've already uploaded it. Make sure that you have your, and then also back home, leave a copy of all of these things in case for some reason a bag gets misplaced or something like that, so that somebody could scan these things to you and you'd have it, a backup copy at your home residence. Also, make sure you have a current passport. It has to be 6 months more than when you leave Morocco. So if you're going to be leaving Morocco on November 8th, then you need it at least 6 months beyond that. So right now, Amy, like Amy was speaking a few minutes ago, she just traveled to India and Mexico. United Airlines, prior to departure, the week before departure, you have to go to what is a travel ready site on their website, and you have to download their app, and you upload all your documents onto your phone. And before United Airlines allows you to travel, you have to be approved on their end that all your documents are uploaded. Some of those, if it's a negative PCR test, it's not going to be uploaded until almost the day you travel. So the day before you travel, because you're not going to have that information. So every airline's different. So just make sure that you're looking online ahead of time, what they're going to require. We haven't had any experience traveling internationally on other airlines yet. So we don't know what other airlines are requiring, but that's our experience so far.
Yeah, the airline recommended that you can go on their website to capture the app, or you can just go on your apps on your computer and download the app, or download directly to your phone. Actually, traveling with the information from my airline on my phone was really easy to do. So there's a couple different ways that you can get a hold of the app so that you can easily upload that information.
Yeah, and United Airlines also provided a link. So if for some reason the app wasn't working, we did access things directly through the link.
Yeah, it was pretty
So
simple.
It wasn't bad.
Pretty simple
It wasn't anything to be, worried about or frightened about. It really worked out smoothly. It was nice.
I mean, really, like I think you said earlier, Susan, the rule of thumb in general is to have duplicate copies of everything. So when I was traveling both to Mexico and India, and when I go to Morocco, I'll have duplicate copies of all my forms, and even copies of my passport, copies of other information. It doesn't hurt to have too much information. And then what we've experienced from other friends that have traveled is sometimes it's requested that they show the information. Other times it's not asked for, even though it was required. So you just don't know what you're going to get when you go up to the counter, necessarily what they're going to want to ask from you. So it's just best to have everything on hand. So I see we've got.
Mary Kay has a good question. She says, how do we access the Moroccan health form? Great question. I should have covered that. We'll send you links to this if it's currently, if somebody, if a country that like Morocco is requesting it, we're going to send you a link for that. And we'll let you know how to upload it at the time. We won't need that until the month of departure. So we'll send out emails periodically giving you that updated information.
I have another question, actually.
Yes.
You talk about the COVID test. Can
Yes.
you do a home COVID test, or does it have to be one that's from a doctor or something?
It usually has to be an official one. That doesn't mean it couldn't be done at home, but there has to be paperwork. They're just not going to take your word for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to be something that could be submitted. I know like United Airlines had ones that you could do domestically. So.
What I've done is just, you can go to CVS Pharmacy, Walgreens, all the locations that we all have around us where you can have COVID tests taken. And then that's where you get the documentation. That's the easiest way to get them before you travel from around home. Or if you folks are in other countries, I'm sure you guys have experienced having to get different COVID tests taken that are official. I reckon you probably have similar resources at hand where you can get the test done. But I've had no problem getting mine scheduled online with CVS Pharmacy, and I've even had one done at Walgreens before too.
Now, these regulations are all subject to change. They may add something, maybe they'll drop something, I don't know. So everybody should be kind of keeping track of. US Department of State has a lot of good information on traveling for US citizens. Every country has their own little US Department of State, whatever the equivalent of that would be.
Okay, should we go on, Susan?
Yep, that sounds great.
All righty. Okay.
So everybody is already starting to look into airline tickets. And so we thought maybe we should talk about what to do, when to arrive and when to depart. So on the first day of your workshop, activities will start about 6 p.m. You don't want to miss out on any of the fun. So we are suggesting, with all of these airline problems, I don't know if domestically there's a lot of issues. We want to make sure we're suggesting you arrive the day before. If it's pre-week 1, we don't have any place to stay at Peacock Pavilions because they have another retreat up till the day that ours starts. But there's great places in town. It would be a good experience if you want to end up there. And then when you arrive, you're either going to be at the airport if you decide to come in the day the retreat starts, or you're going to be at a hotel. And we will either pick you up from a Marrakech hotel locally, or we'll pick you up at the airport. About a month out to 2 months out, we're going to start collecting information. And we're going to ask you for all your flight information and all of your hotel information and things like that. So we'll ask for that at a specific time. If everybody just starts sending it to me, then it's like, oh, I have 50,000 emails and they're everywhere. So I will send out a form that everybody can fill out, and you can just, scan it back to me, and then I'll have exactly your flight information and when you're arriving. So we'll let you know when we're picking you up. If you're at a hotel, we'll say we're picking you up at around 2 o'clock or something, so you know when to be ready.
And we'll also share some great hotel recommendations for you guys if you do want to come in early before the retreat starts, whether you're week 1 or week 2. I know in week 2, there are some rooms available at Peacock Pavilions that would be something directly that you'd want to work with. Peacock Pavilions will provide you with that information as well. But as far as other hotels, there's some other wonderful riads to stay in Marrakech, and it's about 30 minutes away. So what we've done in the past, the same with airport transports. Once we have all your flight information, we can see where everybody's coming in. So if you are coming directly to the airport and we're picking you up, it's really easy for us to coordinate the group pickup. And sometimes we run more than one pickup during the day to make sure everybody can get to the Peacock Pavilions early enough so you can get in, get settled, and relax before we all gather in the evening. And similarly, if you're staying at one of the riads in Marrakech, we'll coordinate a pickup and go around to all the different hotels where everybody's staying and bring everybody in plenty of time to relax a little bit before we start the evening's activities. Susan, there's a question from Laura.
Yes.
She's talking about, she said, how is Royal Air Morocco? And also, would you recommend staying in Casablanca or do that at the end?
Well, it depends on what works out best for you. So whatever, I don't know anything about Royal Air Morocco, but they're the only people that have a direct flight from New York to Casablanca. And you can't fly into Marrakech directly. It's just a smaller regional airport. It's not a small airport, but it's definitely, they don't have a lot of international flights. So I was recommended to Royal Air Morocco by Peacock Pavilions. It's what they use because they like to do a direct flight to New York when they come. So I'm taking their word on it. Never flown it. Amy's never flown it. But definitely it would be a good, they have the most direct flights to Casablanca versus any other airline. If you book through United or Delta, it's going to be the Royal Air Moroccan flight. I was just kind of doing some checking and they're like, yeah, we'll fly you to Marrakech. But it's on Royal, they use Royal Air Morocco as their partner.
Okay.
So it's likely that you'll fly them anyways if you're coming out of New York. So.
And then recommending staying in Casablanca at the end or the beginning?
I think either way is good. Like, it just depends. I kind of check the flights from New York to Casablanca, and you know, you can get back the same day. So if you don't want to leave early, if you don't want to depart early, then you could stay in Casablanca on your way out. And that way you don't start traveling to the next day. Maybe you take a little bit of a tour after you know, you take an afternoon flight from Marrakech to Casablanca, and then you have a little bit of time to just to get a feel of the city. You could do that. Or if it works out for you better, I think it just, you know, like some people are coming from the West Coast, it just depends on your individual story, what works out, but it might be a fun thing to do on either end.
And I have not visited Casablanca myself, so I can't recommend it one way or another, but I know it's one of the higher locations that people are interested in. So I have Roger, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and please share your question, that'd be great.
Well, just follow up on what's been talked about. We already have our airlines. We're leaving from Seattle. So we're going Seattle all the way over to Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
Then from Amsterdam, direct flight into Marrakech. So it worked out pretty well. There's a couple of long layovers, but it worked out pretty well. And then we got a really nice hotel in Marrakech for the one night. And I got to say, there looks like there are some really great ones. So we went on Expedia, but there's many sites that you can look and see, and it just looked like some delightful hotels in town.
Yeah.
There. So
Aren't there's so many fascinating hotels. You're not getting the run of the mill there, are you?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
a lot
ours
of-
looked like a nice one, and the price was reasonable, and it includes breakfast and all that good stuff. So already we've got that settled, and we're real pleased with that.
Oh, wow. Great for you guys.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm glad you found that. See, it's just one stop. That really makes it easier for you, especially from the West Coast.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
and it's Delta, I think Delta flight.
Well, it was booked through KLM, but it's all Delta flights.
Yeah. Uh-huh. There's always that. Yeah. But sometimes it's easier. Tiffany's coming from Seattle too.
Tiffany.
Yes. Sometimes it's easier to book through the American Airlines, if you know, or airlines in your own country, because the dollars, you know, it's in dollars, not in euros or, you know, Durham or something like that. Oh, Laura's coming from, wow, we're having half of the West Coast come, huh?
That's awesome. That's great. Oh, that's really great. Yeah, I think it's just, and I don't know if Roger, if you've looked into this a little bit yet or not, but just the requirements for Amsterdam, it's probably very similar to what Morocco is asking of you guys too, in terms of the COVID tests and that kind of thing, or you're showing your vaccinations. Did you have anything to share about that?
No, we haven't gotten any of those requirements yet. We booked the flights through an agency that we used our points. So that's why it went KLM, because of the overall cost relative to the points. So I don't see any issue in going through Amsterdam. You know, it's a fairly major
Yeah,
airport.
no, it
So,
should be good.
yeah. So and we haven't seen anything yet relative to any of those kind of requirements at this point. And like I say, we're not leaving the airport, so it's not an issue of going out and coming back in.
Yeah, but let me just tell you though, like they had people that did not leave the airport and had to have the requirements of, and it was Portugal, it wasn't Amsterdam, you know. But just make sure that you have all the requirements for each spot, because you don't want to get held up. No, you have to have a new COVID test when you get here, you know, or whatever. So
Yeah, I think it's just a dance that we all are going to have to do, depending on the best way, the way to travel to Marrakech that makes the most sense for everybody. And then just-
exactly, and that is
Yeah.
obviously one stop versus a bunch of stops is much easier.
yeah, that's great. Thank you, Roger.
Mhm.
We provide transfers to on your day that your workshop starts. So if you arrive in Marrakech prior to the start of a workshop, our workshop day, then you're going to be at a hotel. We will pick you up from that hotel and bring you to Peacock Pavilions. If you arrive in Marrakech at the airport the day of our workshop, then we will pick you up at the airport. So we will be asking for both either the hotel and the airport information. Definitely we'll want your flight information regardless of what day you're arriving, just so that it makes it sent, you know, we can have a complete picture. But so does anybody have any questions about transfers? And on the way home, if you're going to a hotel rather than going to the airport, then we'll take you to that hotel. So
Yeah, and or transfer to the airport. And Susan,
whatever.
Susan was suggesting to avoid departing too early because it makes the evening before a little bit tricky. Because we have a beautiful finale dinner that's planned, a goodbye dinner for all of us before everybody leaves in the morning. We've had some folks that have tried to had to leave the hotel at like 2 or 3 in the morning to try to get to the airport and catch their flights, which is doable. But it's just thinking ahead, like that might make it a long day for you. It might make a rough day from the night before. So,
and it may be happening because a lot of the Royal Air Moroccan flights back to New York are, you know, I looked at kind of the schedule and it was a little bit like, you know, leaving a little bit early, but just to be aware how your personality works. I don't like to get up at 2 in the morning to have to leave.
but then, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, right? So
I just woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning to leave for Mexico last week. So
yeah, you did it, didn't you?
the pot calling the kettle black right over here. So
yeah, I know what you mean. I'm getting up at 2 in the morning next week to fly back from my daughter's graduation.
yeah. So does anybody have any other questions about arrival or departure? You can raise your hand or take yourself off mute if you have a question. We'll pop over to the next slide. Then we're gonna, oh, here we go. I'm up at 2 in the morning to listen to you guys. Good point. Good point, Anna.
That is funny. That is good. That's a good one. Thank you.
So we need to be time sensitive so she can get back to bed, get her rest. Okay, so the next slide is a little bit about the Moroccan dirham and access to currency and money and kind of how that works. You want to lead us through this, Susan?
Yeah, this is a big question that I always get. How can I get the local currency, which is the dirham? Moroccan dirham is the official currency of the kingdom, but it's a closed currency. So sometimes it's available in major European airports like Paris or London, but it's rarely available outside the country. It's actually illegal to have it outside the country. They want to make sure that everybody's using the dirham there, so they have made it a closed currency. But it's really not a problem to get it once you get to the airport in Morocco. So you can either get it at one of the currency exchange centers or you can get it from an ATM in the airport. And then when we're out and about, if you're spending more in cash than you thought, we'll always be making stops at ATMs. And also, if you have some cash, then Peacock Pavilions may be able to exchange some small amounts of currency for you. And then before you leave the country, if you have a significant amount that you won't be able to usually put it back, you know, won't be able to send it to your bank and get an exchange because it's the closed currency. So you want to do it before you leave. Currently, it's running about $1 US to 10 dirhams. So if you're thinking in US dollars, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is move the decimal place, like, oh, it's 10 dirhams, and just move the decimal place over 1, and then you can kind of think, oh, that's an easy conversion because it's pretty much 10 to 1. Canadians and Australians, well, it's a little more hard. It's a little more difficult. You may want to use a currency calculator.
There is I have a great app on my phone, and it's a free app, and it's a currency app that you can download, and you can put in whatever country's currency that you're interested in seeing the exchange, and you put in the value and it'll show you what it is in your country's dollar. So those are easy. We'll share that in the upcoming emails and information, just some travel hacks that we've discovered that could help you guys make some things easier, and we'll make sure that we share that currency information with you. But I also wanted to point out that the meals that you have out, that we do have out while we're traveling in Aswari and some of the other locations, are part of your trip. So you're not going to be buying your dinners out during the week of the retreat. We're covering all of that for you. We do take most of our meals at Peacock Pavilions because it is the best food on the planet, and it's gorgeous and relaxing. And we end up taking a lot of our food there because honestly, it's just absolutely the best food in the best location. But there are a couple experiences that we do have, and we cover that for you. But this is helpful to know if you're happening to travel before you come to us in Marrakech, or afterwards, if you want to continue traveling, that there is, it's customary to tip like 5 to 10%. And you could cross
And
that over in
also-
your hotels as well too, you know, people that are helping you in your hotel or whatever, if you want to give them a little gratuity.
ATMs tend to dispense in large denominations, and a lot of the things that you'll be using maybe some cash for is when you're in the Medina. And somebody might want to take a picture of you, or you might want to take a picture with a snake or something, you know. There are several, you know, folks in the Medina that like to walk around, take your picture or whatever. And that'll run you a few dirhams, not many, like 5 or 10. It's not that expensive. So you may want to stop in a little coffee shop or something when you're in the airport, and buy a coffee and get some change, so you have some small amounts to give these folks if that's something you might be interested in.
And a lot of the shops in the Medina and in the souks and the areas we'll be exploring, they also do take credit cards as well, or debit cards. So we've got the whole cash thing figured out. So you guys need
You're
to
not
bring-
going to need need
Yeah.
a ton of cash, unless you just want to pay for everything in cash if you're shopping.
Yeah, it's just nice to know. Did somebody have a question? Oh, no travelers checks. That's a really good question, Laura. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
In the years that we've traveled there so far, I haven't had a lot of guests that have used travelers checks. But we'll look into that and let you know. We'll check with Peacock Pavilions, kind of what's the vibe with those in Marrakech. Because I know that's a nice security to travel with travelers checks, to have that safety. Then Penny has a question: is the food and tap water safe outside of the hotels? I would say no, unless we're guiding you someplace. Just because it's not that it's dirty and unsanitary, it's just that the bacteria is going to be different in the water than what we have, or wherever your home country is. And our bodies are most sensitive to that kind of bacteria. So I highly advise not to do that. If you're getting like a bottled drink, or you're, I would avoid getting anything with ice. The places that we take you would be fine and safe. But otherwise, I'm just always err on caution. And Jessie has a question. Hi, everyone. How many people are in the first week's group? Well, we have
11
14
people.
We have 11 people right now. We have a total of 14 spots for guests. So we have three spots open for 3 guests to still join us. Week 2 is completely sold out. But the first week we have 3 spots available. So between now and as we get closer to the trip, we're pretty confident that we'll be filling all those spots. Okay, great. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. So Miss Susan, should we move on to the next slide?
I think we're good.
Okay. All righty. Okay. This is just a little precursor of some things to think about. Again, as we continue to communicate with you guys over the next several weeks, we'll be sharing a lot of information and suggestions and things just to consider when you're packing or getting ready for the trip that just might help you out get ready. But Susan wanted to put together some of these ideas just to kind of give you a hint of, things to think about.
A couple of trips ago, somebody gave us a good idea that the weather that we'll be traveling in is a lot like the weather it is right now in the States. And so it's a great time to buy clothing or get the clothing that you want. So I thought maybe we should bring it up. So anyways, both for male and female, it's pretty conservative clothing. Mainly the shoulders are covered and the legs are covered down past the knees. So a lot of people wear like dresses or skirts or something, but most people, you know, you're wearing, you won't wear short shorts or anything like that. Peacock Pavilions, you can wear whatever you want. But it's basically a pretty conservative country. They're very welcoming, so they wouldn't say anything. But since it's their country, we like to kind of be respectful to their culture. Pretty much it's good to bring some layers, scarves, light jackets, definitely comfortable shoes. We're going to be on our feet quite a bit. Walking shoes, sandals, and then we do visit a Moroccan hammam, and a lot of people choose to wear a bathing suit there. Peacock Pavilions also has a really nice pool, so you might have a little bit of time when you arrive or before you depart to sit at the pool. So it might be a nice thing to bring a bathing suit.
Just to share a little bit about what a Moroccan hammam is, if you're not familiar with that, it's a very beautiful old ancient way of bathing. And there's women's baths and men's baths. And the hammam that we go to is a high-end spa. It's absolutely beautiful. It's in a gorgeous old building that's been renovated. And you are pampered and patted and steamed and massaged. And it is the most divine experience. And what they do is they bring you in with a partner. So someone else from the group, you share the hammam space. It's this beautiful old, like hundreds of year old these stone beds, and it's all steamy and warm. And that's where, if you choose to wear a bathing suit, you can. Many men and women are completely naked, and that's totally fine too. Culturally, being naked is completely normal, the norm as well. So everything is totally fine. But it's just beautiful, ritualistic way that women bathed each other and men bathed each other, and it's a beautiful experience. So I just wanted to give you a little background on that because it's kind of special. But just generally overall, layers are great. Because we've been in Morocco with our groups in October, November, and also in January, February, and that time frame is very similar. But it is a lot like now. It's nice to have layers. In the mornings are cooler, the evenings are cooler. During the day, the sun is stronger because of the location of where we are on the planet. So you will want to have some sunscreen. You might want to have some sun protection or be able to take layers off. So, but we'll share a lot more about that for you guys as we get closer to the trip as well. I have a question from Inna. She's asking, is week 1 identical to week 2? No, they're not. And the way that they differ, there are a lot of things that are the same in terms of some of our excursions are similar. We're still filling out all of the activities that we're going to be doing because we've been turned on to a lot of new fun things. So each week will have its own unique flavor of activities. Many of the key items will be shared, like we'll have hammams for everyone both weeks. We'll have camel rides for everyone both weeks, even though the camel ride locations will probably differ. Each week, we want to take you to Essaouira, which is a beautiful historic seaside village, which is stunning and amazing and so much fun to spend time there. And then we have our different guest teachers. So week 1, Dave is my guest artist teacher. So we have creative workshops that we intersperse throughout our week. So what's wonderful about that is you're out in this incredible environment and within this culture of really interesting people, with people you're making friends with, having these great experiences. And you just want to use your hands. You want to be creative. You want to express yourself somehow from the things you've been experiencing. And so we developed guest artist and creative activities and having creative studio time in a hand-painted tent, by the way, a beautiful hand-painted tent on the property, where we have this concentrated time to create from the inspirations that we're taking in. So David is my guest teacher week 1. And then week 2, our guest teacher is Denise Schmidt. So the creative projects obviously are going to differ from week to week as well. So that's how the flavor of both the weeks is a little bit different. And as we get closer, we'll share some activities with you guys tonight that we definitely know we're going to be doing. But then we're still in the process of working on some extra special things that we've just been turned on to. So we'll have to give you we'll give you a full itinerary well in advance of the trip. And all those details will come to you in plenty of time to prepare. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, Miss Susan.
Go for it.
We're going to talk about the Peacock Pavilions, which is going to be our home away from home.
And Laura asked another good question, is laundry available? And yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
For an additional cost, they do charge you a little bit. It's not anything outrageous.
Yeah. That's a good idea when you're wanting to pack light and not travel with a lot of stuff, or leave enough empty space in your suitcase for your finds, your goodies, and your treasures. So depends on what your strategy is, but it is nice to travel light for sure.
We have been working with Peacock Pavilions for many years, and it is a wonderful experience to work with them. They are absolutely wonderful. They have an incredible love for it because the owners, Chris and Miriam, have developed this beautiful location. It's a handcrafted boutique hotel outside of Marrakech. So you're going to get all the wonders of Marrakech, but it's peaceful outside. So Chris and Miriam are the caretakers of this love resort, and you're going to just love them. They're just wonderful. I love working with them. They're both great to work with, and they have a whole staff that is wonderful to work with. They're really helpful and will help you with whatever you need. This intimate location allows us to immerse ourselves in Moroccan culture, but it also has, Chris's and Miriam were both born in the United States. Was Miriam born here?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyways, they understand what Western culture, the things that we want, but they also understand Miriam's has Egyptian heritage. And
She grew up in Egypt.
Yeah. So she really understands both cultures and the mixes and the wonderfulness of both. So each room, it's very small though. It only has a few rooms. And so each room is a double occupancy. It's beautifully appointed. Everyone is. But because it's double occupancy, and even if you know your friend, I would suggest bringing earplugs, eye masks, and things like that, because we don't have any other rooms. So, I can't put you in a different room if somebody's like, a restless sleeper or something. So bring things that help you relax and sleep well. And Amy will share a wonderful list of things that helps her every time she travels there.
Yeah, I have a lot of good sleeping hacks with herbs and other things, but we haven't, over the years, we haven't had any issues with roommates and partners. And what happens in the situation, because we're such a small group in this beautiful space, is everybody becomes very close. You make friends for life, and there's a special energy from us all coming together and also being in this space. And Mariam and Chris have made an oasis. And honestly, when you see Peacock Pavilions and you experience Peacock Pavilions, you would be happy to spend a good portion of your trip just there and not leaving because it's so fascinating. Mariam has traveled the world. She has been a special agent. I don't know if agent is the correct word, but she is an expert in working in political crisis situations during war times with helping women and children. She has worked through the Peace Corps internationally in several different countries. And so a lot of the collections, she has extensive textile collections, pottery. She has beautiful taste. And a lot of these pieces have come from all of her travels over the years. And the physical property, the buildings and the architecture were all designed by Chris. And I'm not doing her justice. When you meet them and you hear her talk, she'll get to spend some time with us, and she'll tell you about the spirit and the magic of Morocco and of this place. And she is a fascinating human being and a very good person. And honestly, for me, she's a big part of what's really special about where we're headed and where we're going to be together. So also, we encourage you to spend a little time snooping around their website. If you go to peacockpavilions.com, you can see what they've written about the property and what it means to them, and look at their photographs and really get a sense of the richness of the place. So if you have time to do that, I highly suggest it. It's a treat. It's going to be a treat. So I'm excited for you guys to see it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about Peacock Pavilions before we move on? Okay. Oh,
I
yes.
do actually, do we tip at the hotel as well?
We offer a basic tip for all the staff. But, you know, they would highly appreciate it if you get some really good service or something, or you feel like you want to tip more, feel free to do it, you know. It goes to the staff. So, but we do tip for you. That's included in your trip. So you don't feel like you have to do that. But if you feel like, wow, these people were great, or I really fell in love with this girl or whatever, you know, then feel free to do so.
Yeah. And Miss Elizabeth, you've got your hand raised. Would you like, or Betsy, would you like to ask a question?
Sure, yes, I was looking around their website and I noticed that they have a give back project called Project SOAR that supports girls in the area.
That's right.
Is there any way that we can help contribute to that, or things we can bring to help support their programs?
Absolutely. That is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. We're actually going to have an experience with Project SOAR while we're all together. And we'll be, Susan and I will be checking in with Mariam and the Project SOAR team to see what they might be in need of for supplies, because that is definitely something we've done over the years and it's greatly appreciated by them. Thank you for asking that. We'll talk a little bit more about Project SOAR here in a couple minutes.
And you know what? I'm going to apologize in advance that I forgot to update the Project SOAR page.
Oh, that's okay.
This probably has a missing part to it. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. We'll be just fine. Okay, so dining at Peacock Pavilion. So we're talking a little bit about being at the pavilions and some of the amenities. Susan, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. We like to be clear we do 3 events that we provide cocktails or wine at. One is the welcome party, and one is a wine tasting on the last day, and then one is at the henna party. So on each of those occasions, you're going to have a couple of glasses or cocktails. Other times, there's wine available for purchase and drinks available for purchase. They're required per Moroccan law, however, that you can't, all alcohol consumed on the premises must be purchased through Peacock Pavilions. That's one of the laws of the country. If you get hungry, we're active. Snacks are available for purchase, and guests can settle any purchases they make at the end of their stay with either cash or credit cards. And most, like Amy had said earlier, most of our meals are prepared at Peacock Pavilions, and we know that some people have special dietary requests. They can't accommodate extreme things, but there's a lot that they can accommodate. So let us know. We'll send out a form that says, do you have any dietary restrictions or whatever? And then you can let us know if there's anything that we need to help with, and see what we can do about that. So we can ask them to see, can you accommodate this or whatever. So
definitely. We have for our there's a lot of wonderful non-alcoholic drinks available as well. We have all kinds of juices, and they make special sodas and all kinds of cool things. So there's something for everybody. But just to explain a little bit more, in all of the rooms, they have a beautiful selection of wine, and there's some beers in a cooler, and there's some snacks. So I'm so satiated from the meals. I don't really snack a lot when I'm there, but not to say that you wouldn't want to. And I have snacked there, but just to let you know, you'll be very satiated from the food and the meals that we have. And if you want to, you can pack some kind bars and things like that from home too. I often do that. I bring bags of nuts and cool things like that, just to have on hand while we're, traveling from one place to the other. If you have a snack attack or something, that's always a good idea. There's also plenty of water provided in the rooms, fresh water. They have a water filtration system that's available. And Breakfasts are included. Penny's, we've got some questions popping up in the chat. Yes, breakfast is included, lunch is included, your dinner's included. We take 90% of we take all of our breakfasts at Peacock Pavilions, and we take 95% of our lunches at Peacock Pavilions, in most of our dinners. So
Now, if you do arrive early or stay late, those meals will be on you. Like, say, for instance, they might, like, if for some reason they choose to pick you up at noon or something on arrival day, and if you choose to eat food at the pavilions, you will have to make an appointment to say, yeah, that you need food that day. Or if you stay late, like, for instance, your flight doesn't take off, or they don't transfer you until afternoon, you might be able to purchase a meal, but that would be on any extra meals outside of the, from the time we start at 6 p.m. on the first day till the time we leave on the, till breakfast on the last day. All of the meals are included.
And we'll have to check on arrival day. I'm remembering that there were some snacks and some food available as people were coming in. So we'll check on that for you guys. I don't want you to have to worry about food when you're coming
Right.
and arriving. So if my memory serves me well, I think that's all provided for you too. So you have stuff to eat when you arrive. We had fresh lunches and things like that made for arrival day. So we'll double check on that for you. Also, another question came in about laundry, just in case. Looks like maybe Jesse was answered, but there is laundry available at Peacock Pavilions, and that would be just an extra charge that can be added to your total before you check out. And Chris does a beautiful job of accounting. It's really, and they have a really nice boutique at the Peacock Pavilions too. So just to warn you, and Mariam has curated the whole thing. But anything that you find special that you'd like to take home with you, that's all, or any extra drinks or any extra anything that you want or need, and your COVID tests, and we'll talk about that at the end here, but that's easily just calculated, and they keep a tab for you. And at any point you have questions, they're really at hand and easy to help you with any of that. So it's really quite easy. So I've got a question from Jessie. She says, my mom is coming with me and she walks with a cane. Will that be problematic for any of the activities? It's going to be something for you and your mom to consider with the riding the camels, her ability to ride a camel. We do we're on foot a lot. So the souks in the Medina will be, as we're like scouring the souks and working through Marrakech, a lot of it's a very ancient city. So the streets are cobblestone, or they're old bricks, or they're uneven. So the surfaces and the areas we're going to be traversing are kind of adventurous at times. So maybe that's something that we could have a conversation with you. Susan could have a conversation with you on the phone and maybe talk through these things with you a little bit more detail to make sure you feel like you have a comfort level with it. Because I wouldn't want her to overexert herself or be in a position where she couldn't be safe and comfortable. So don't you think that's a good idea, Susan? Maybe.
Oh, I think that's
Jessie
great. Yeah.
could have a phone call. Does that help you? Okay, great. She says, that's great. So that's what we'll do. We'll just make sure we take care of you and your mom and make sure that it's a good fit for both of you. Anything else here, Susan, that you want to share? Or?
No, I think it's good. Does any have questions about food or anything?
It's pretty easy. And we'll go over all this again. It's so easy when you arrive, and it's all set up and it'll flow so easily. This is just sort of pre-paving the way for you in case you have any questions. And then always, please know, at any time, just email Susan and I with questions that you have. Things are going to pop up after tonight, and as we go through communications, as we get closer to the trip, and as we have more opportunities to get all of us together and talk and meet, I think it'll be really fun to connect. So we've got Laura says, I think you said we would be the only group there. That's right. We have the whole pavilions to ourselves. So it's just me and Dave, or me and Denise and all of you and the Peacock Pavilion folks and a few peacocks and a beautiful environment. No, Susan, no, I'm sorry.
No. Somebody needs to stay back here and answer your questions, because Amy and Dave are not that accessible once they're over in Morocco, and week 2 may have some questions, or somebody coming back off of week 1, oh, I left this or something, so I answer all the questions, get everybody out the door and back, and take care of things on this end.
You sure
No, and a
do.
vegetarian diet is not a
Not
problem.
a problem. No. I honestly think they can accommodate any needs that anybody has from a dietary perspective, because it's all farm to table, whole food. And there are lots of options. So if we, like Susan said, she'll send out a questionnaire in advance of the trip. And if you just let us know what your needs are, we'll work in advance with Peacock Pavilions to make sure that we have you set up. Okay. All right. So here's Project SOAR. You did leave out some type in that
I
box.
did.
But it looks like you did it on purpose. It's really pretty. Good. Project SOAR is incredible, an incredible program that Mariam created. And actually, when you're looking at this image, the top left-hand photo, the beautiful woman in the black and white caftan with the long silver earrings, that's Mariam. And so part of her vision, part of the vision and dream that she had with Chris when they moved into this community is finding a way to give back to the community. And she's been a lifelong feminist and an empowerer of women. And she'll share a little bit more about the history that she's done with women over the years. I kind of highlighted it a few minutes ago. But she's very, very gifted at organizing and coming up with programs that make a difference. And Project SOAR is her main project that she's done many, many things like this. She's an incredible humanitarian. So Project SOAR started with the young girls in her village. And you can see there's a photo with Michelle Obama. Since Project SOAR's inception in 2015, has expanded into a global program in many third world countries. It's being supported by, the young people's group, Peace Corps. So it's been enveloped into the Peace Corps International program, and now is being available as a platform in many, many third world countries. So she started, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You had mentioned going on Peacock Pavilion's website. Definitely take a look at Project SOAR's website too.
Yes.
And I'll send you links next week to take a look at, but it was very nice, and it gives a very good description of some, where they've been and where they're at. So I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, no, that's okay. You can access Project SOAR through Peacock Pavilion's website. You'll see a link to it through their pages. And yeah, she does a beautiful job. I highly recommend reading that. It's a great explanation. But she's developed this program starting with getting the permission from the leaders in the community and empowering these young girls and teens to stay in school, break the chain of childhood marriages, basic things like hygiene, and huge on self-empowerment and education for these girls. And it's a beautiful program. And so many of them are going on and leading and doing great things from this work. And it's grown from a very small project to this massive project. And the Project SOAR platform headquarters is just around the corner from Peacock Pavilions in the village. And so we'll get to spend some time doing some sort of creative experience with the girls. And we're waiting to get feedback from Peacock Pavilions as to what they'd like us to do or how we could contribute while we're there. But also oftentimes they do have a lot of needs for the program. They can't access materials and supplies there in Morocco. So if any of you would be interested in making some room in your suitcase to pack supplies and different materials that they might need, that would be incredible. So we're looking into that right now. We're waiting for more feedback from them, but we'll let